Hey, Internet, it's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here today talking about Season 2, Episode 7 of the Apple TV sci-fi series Severance. The episode entitled Chikhai Bardo. Had to look this up, but Chikhai Bardo is a Buddhist concept, describes the transitional period at the moment of death. Seems appropriate, since this episode is all about Gemma.
Yes.
We open with a flashback to Mark and Gemma meeting for the first time at Gans College. They're both professors, and they meet while donating blood. He teaches history, she teaches Russian literature, with what I would guess is a focus on the works of Tolstoy. They have an instant chemistry, hitting it off. Then we ominously see the lumen symbol on the blood transfusion equipment. They're everywhere. We end with Gemma making an unsuccessful escape attempt from the testing floor, tearfully being led back to her room by nurse Sandra Bernhardt. Mark then finally regains consciousness as he, went unconscious at the end of last episode, as his sister looks on.
And asks him.
I was going to get to all of the parallel lines, but where did you go?
Yes.
We'll talk about, yes, there's many dialogue and action parallels that we can draw in this. That's one of them. Where did you go? Credits. All that said, Paul.
Yes.
What'd you think of episode 7?
Liked it. Yeah, and especially since, it had a unique feel and look to it. But what I really liked is how it was telling two stories about Mark. Ostensibly, at the most surface level, it was about his reintegration of his experience with Gemma and the whole reason why he's in the situation he is in now, and his experience with Gemma as Miss Casey. So that reintegration is what really is occurring for him. And he's all doing that in a sort of dreamlike state. And for Gemma / Ms. Casey, we are finally getting to see her experience, and that was, very dreamlike as well in terms of how she's going in and out of things, and and all the things that Lumen was doing to her on the testing floor. Continues to be doing to her, yes. Yes, exactly. But for her, she still wants and needs Mark. And so...
Right, very important information. We weren't sure whether Gemma had any memories or anything like that, and we find out. She's like, hey, when we're done, I think she's like, I forgot if she says literally like when we're done with Cold Harbor, but that's the implication. When we're done with Cold Harbor, can I go back and see Mark? So she knows, hey, I'm here doing these tests, but ultimately the point of this is to, when I'm done, go back to Mark. Yeah, so that's really important to know.
And how they really couldn't promise her that. They couldn't tell her that. They had to be all cryptic and everything about it.
Well, and also, Maurer, who has his own... Maurer, Robbie Benson. Robbie Benson's face, we finally see it.
Not Dr. Bert's Maurer. Husband.
Not Bert's husband. Just a suitably creepy Lumen employee who seemingly has developed a suitably creepy attachment to Gemma. And so when she's asking about, hey, when am I going to get back to see Mark? He lies to say, you know what, he's moved on. He has a daughter with someone else, which is like extra ouch, because part of the whole reason she ended up there in the first place was an infertility clinic and all. Anyway, it's really cruel to try to say that. And she whaps him with a chair. So good on her for that.
Yeah. Oh, you approve of the violence. Ooh,
I did.
Right.
I did.
Right.
I did.
I guess it's not as bad as killing people in The Matrix, so okay.
It's not, because those people were blameless. Yeah. This guy is a dick. He's pretty terrible. Plus, you get there was that line, it was almost like a throwaway line, but again, very creepy, the behind the scenes, Drummond and Maurer, and then these people that look like versions of the MDR folks who are watching them. Anyway, but while they're doing that, and they're watching Gemma, and Drummond says, like, didn't she try to break your fingers? Suggesting that she's done this before, that somehow, she's lashed out at Mauer
sure.
in the past. It wasn't just like, I've been nice up till now, but this is the one time when I decided. So maybe she's been wiped. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah. So she's antagonistic. Like mind wiped, maybe. Like maybe.
Why would you do that?
Well, it didn't seem like she remembered attacking him. Maybe she did. Maybe she's. It seemed like this was this moment where she's like, I'm going to try to escape. And she tried it.
Well, I mean, it could have happened in any of the rooms that she went to. And yeah, she wouldn't remember that.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, right. Okay, you're right. It could have been in any. I was thinking more like the Gemma person, the Audi had attacked him before. But good point. Could have been an any attacked him. Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you. Perhaps that's the best answer for that.
Yeah, because I mean, while maybe they could have erased the incident of her attacking him, I don't know why it wouldn't motivate her to want to. Like, well, I haven't done it before.
Exactly.
You have. Yeah, you have.
There's a lot to talk about with this episode. It is a fantastic episode, really. But the testing floor mechanics, are a new thing for us. So it's generally an Audi floor. With severed testing rooms.
Yes.
And so, then the main floor is obviously, once you get up to the top, that's an Audi floor. But in between is the severed floor. So if you try to escape, you get to the severed floor, you forget you were trying to escape. So I would say that ultimately it's going to be a reintegrated Mark is going to have to stay reintegrated while he attempts to take Gemma through from Audi to Innie to Audi in an attempt to escape, if I had to guess.
Sure.
That's what. But also we get this thing of, okay, so we'll talk about the various rooms that she goes into.
Yeah.
But each time she goes into a room,
she
gets severed. But it's not just, I'm pretty sure it's not just, oh, this is Innie me. Because, for instance, when she goes into the dentist.
Yeah, no, they're different. They're different.
Right,
Innies.
they're different Innies.
Yeah.
Each room, she has a different Innie personality, which is a whole new bag as far as, at least the one that I was aware of. I mean, that's potentially even more frightening for Lumen. You can have a series of personalities that all get switched on and off whenever we want, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to see what their intentions are, because I didn't really get the impression that she was that different in those, except that the experience she was having was different.
Oh, good point. Like, she might have been the same Innie, but it's just somehow they mind wipe her, because when she goes to the dentist, it's pretty obvious that she thinks she just left the dentist.
Yeah, you might want to be careful with using, or find a different word than wipe, because it's, she goes in there and she has memory of that experience over the different times. I was just here in this room. Yep. That was months ago. We're always in Christmas, so not wipe exactly. It's more like you're just activating a different Innie. So it's like a different programs, and it's like, okay, now it's this program, now it's that program, or it's just this separated consciousness. I've heard somebody suggest, like, hey, some of the practical things of that, we saw, they mentioned it again, actually, the birthing area.
Yes,
which is the whole, like, okay, well,
you flip your Innie on to experience the pain of childbirth.
Yeah. And here's another thing, like, oh, I don't want to go to the dentist. Don't worry, you don't have to experience going to the dentist. I'm afraid of going on airplanes. Well, hey.
I don't want to write these Christmas cards. Oh, just flip on the Innie.
Exactly.
Which could be a thing where I feel like that's probably not Lumen's ultimate plan, but it could be hey, we're trying to make this more palatable to the public. Right now, we get certain people who come and do this weird procedure to work for us. Fine. But what if we offered a really, something that seemed really desirable? Hey, do you not want to feel pain and sensation, bad sensations? Well, if you come with us, if you're going to, I know I'm going to the dentist, I can just flip the Innie on, let him experience that, and then I never experienced it.
Right.
And that would probably draw in more customers. It gets some more business. Yada, yada.
Yeah. Like, dentist place without, do you have a Severance thing in there? I don't want to experience any pain or whatever. And, and okay, well, all the best dentist offices have this.
I mean, we're all severed. Yeah.
We do know that, in that first season they were talking about, hey, trying to avoid, or they wanted to, have the law not hinder them in what they wanted to do, and so having more ways to sell this technology. I mean, I know that, there are people who, like, Damon Lindelof, one of them, who was suggesting that, what is it he was suggesting? Like,
one theory he had was the what we talked about at the beginning of this season, which was what I'm calling the altered carbon theory. I mean, he didn't call it that, but the idea of, hey, you have a chip, you're functionally immortal. You can just take your consciousness, stick it in a new body. Oh, that body's dying. Well, whoop, hey, now I'm in a young body.
Yeah, right. And why would you need to have a separate consciousness to do that? We created this area where you can have these work experiences or separate experiences, and the whole point of going to a new body is you're you, whoever you are. So why create another you?
No, it's a great point. The innie-outie the innie-outie concept doesn't seem to gel with that theory. I agree. I was thinking maybe it's a way to test the tech, but you're right. It's almost a little too complicated that way narratively. Okay, I hear that.
And it's interesting that they need to test this tech, although this is a different aspect of the tech. It's sort of like, how many times can we do it? And how many places, it's like, I go to all these different places, and I don't have a memory of a single one of it.
Right. So we do also see, we get another screenshot of Cold Harbor. Cold Harbor is now 96% finished. I think last time we saw it was like 85 or something like that. So it's definitely, they're building towards Cold Harbor is going to be done. I'm guessing the Cold Harbor being finished is going to coincide with the rescue attempt on Gemma before the end of the season. But each room that Gemma's going into for testing, I believe, corresponds to an MDR project file. The Allentown was the one I noticed in particular. That was one of the project names. And now it's a room. And the Cold Harbor is the one room she hasn't tested. Everything else she's been in literally every room except Cold Harbor. So I don't know what the purpose of that room is, although they're like, this is a history-making room. But I would feel like experientially, I would think it's almost certainly going to be Gemma experiencing the car wreck. That's what I would guess.
That's interesting.
Maybe it's not, but what is it about this room? Is it, hey, you don't have to experience the moment of death. We'll make sure that we have an innie that'll flip on for you in emergency distress situations.
Don't worry. When you're dead and can't imagine anything.
I don't know.
Or if you believe in an afterlife, it's sort of like, don't worry, you won't experience your death. You'll be in the afterlife and won't care. And it's like you're in heaven. What?
Well, great point that you just brought that up, because remember, Bert was talking about how his innie could go to heaven, and that was his inspiration for joining into the project. So maybe there's even a spiritual aspect to it. But well, there's that. So then, in describing Cold Harbor, Maurer has this, again, suitably creepy line to Gemma where he's like, Mark will benefit from the work you're siring. What the hell does that mean? I don't even know. In the moment I thought, does that mean like Mark would benefit from this by the tech would make him forget about the pain of losing Gemma, but in some ways his innie already has forgotten that pain. But he's reintegrated. They don't know that, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no. The only thing I imagine was like, once we're done with this, the benefits to everybody will benefit him. It's just the world would be a better place.
Right, the world would be a better place.
All that I interpreted it to mean. But who knows? I just, as a separate matter, or maybe not, I mean, I feel like this is making me more confident, even though of course, we could still be wrong about what it all is.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But I feel like they are getting closer to telling us what it is. I mean, the
agree.
fact that we're seeing these guys watching them actually makes, it's like, at least why watch him if it was as pointless as we thought?
Yeah, great point. Yeah, right.
It's
It's not just hit these numbers and who cares. No, it's certainly.
It's like,
you know.
well, we've got 4 people doing this. It's like, it's really not easy to think of ways to keep these people doing busy work. Like, we got some people working with goats, and we've got some people sitting.
Which also is funny if you think about the person. Let's say the person that's imitating the person that's monitoring Dylan, who looks like Dylan.
Yes.
And so Dylan's just wandering around doing stuff, blah, blah, blah. And what is this guy doing? Is he just sitting there? Dylan went to the kitchen today. Okay, like it's just like, woo. I mean, they're paying a lot of money for a lot of people to do this project. So.
And is he just watching Dylan only when he's sitting at the desk?
Right. Yeah. Okay,
but is he also
Maybe
watching him when he's meeting with his wife?
Oh, I see what you mean. Audi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That
Well,
could
no.
be a thing.
No.
Okay.
Is intimate with his wife.
Well,
Dylan's
sure. No,
dating.
but I mean, like, maybe he's even watching the Audi. I don't know. But you're right.
No,
Maybe
but I
it's more
meant,
just
is he watching him meet with his wife, which is in
Almost
anything,
certainly.
as any did it. And also, is he watching him when he gets his waffle parties? And is he,
Yeah. I mean, the answer is probably yes. They're always, their little motto, we're always listening. Whatever, but yeah, so... you had shared with me Damon Lindelof's interview where he was giving theories about the show, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
One theory he had that I hadn't considered, and he actually this interview was given before this episode dropped, so he didn't know that.
I feel like it was almost his purpose to be like, I got to get this out there. The next thing that they're gonna do, he was saying, he imagined like him storytelling was like, we need to see more Miss Cobell,
which we're gonna apparently. The rumor is we're gonna see more Cobell next episode. So he was one episode early.
Yeah.
But he mentioned in this thing about this theory about Gemma, and I hadn't considered this, and so I'm going to paraphrase what he said. But he mentioned that narratively, and here's Damon Lindelof is a guy who knows about mystery box narratives.
Yes.
He did Lost. He would say that he, with others, he contributed. He did a showrunner stuff for Lost and the amazing Leftovers.
Yes.
Which we covered here on this show. And
of course, the Watchmen.
Anyway. Yeah, so the guy knows what he's talking. He's not just, hey, I'm a celebrity and I'm just giving my thoughts. This is a guy who's thought about the story beats behind mystery boxes, and he really enjoys Severance. So he said, narratively, this story is not set up for a Mark and Gemma get back together storyline.
Sure.
This is a Mark and Helly story. Yeah. Bringing Gemma back from the dead will not turn out well. That's basically his premise. Is like, that's happened. This kind of stuff never goes well, and the story is giving us the relationship between Mark and Helly as they journey through this thing. So Gemma coming back, in his mind, is it's not going to result in, oh, we're happy to everything's back to normal. Look at that, we're gonna adopt a kid together and everything will be
but
great.
Part of his theory, though, I think relies on. We took her consciousness out of that body and put her into a new body.
He does. He thinks it's like a clone type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And therefore, technically, she's
not the same person.
Gemma.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and dramatically, he doesn't, I think he would rather her not still be alive, because that would take out some of the thing. It's like, oh, he thought she was dead for a long time. And so... if you say, oh, she actually was alive, then I think
it cheapens that emotion that we had from like the loss and everything to say, oh no, actually she's fine. She's just being held against her will.
Yeah. But typically, though, you generally think that, like, if someone had just gotten to Romeo before he killed himself. And just say, could you hang on for a little bit? It gets better.
Circumstances are going to be weird, but just hang in.
If he just hung out 10 minutes, things would have been so much better for him. But Mark has hang on for all this time and been sad. I kind of think that it still would mean something.
I mean, it would certainly mean
dramatically.
We'll assume the rescue is successful, we'll say.
it's still dramatic having to deal with, okay, wow, what's going to happen, especially after, Innie Mark has developed a strong relationship, and now it's beginning to spread to Outie Mark with Helly. So there's still drama to be had.
The rumor is that this is going to be Cobell returns, and maybe we even get some backstory about Cobell in the next episode. So I would guess that means that Devin goes ahead and makes that call, even though it scared off Ragabi. So Ragabi's like, you don't make that call. This person's really connected, and I'm in real trouble if you do this. Goodbye.
Yeah, it was interesting to me that she was like, okay, then I'm going to leave. And it's like, okay, yes, Devin is going to do that. That makes sense. But if she just said, okay, wait, I won't do it. Stick around.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was expecting was about to happen.
Look, I haven't dialed yet.
Yep. I know what you're talking about. Boy, you are really just trigger happy to get out of here. But okay, fine. But as you mentioned, there's a lot of parallel dialogue in action. So we brought up the one, where did you go? So that's Devin to Mark at the end of the episode, but it's the nurse to Gemma in the beginning of the episode. We get the, I love you. I said I love you.
Yeah, that happens twice.
Mauer to Gemma and Gemma to Mark. We get Who Are You, which isn't in this episode. It's in this episode once, but the other time. So it's Mark to Helly when they first meet at the first episode of season 1. Who Are You, when she wakes up on the table. And then it's also Mark to Gemma when they first meet at the, donating blood. Yes. Who are you? Stop being an asshole. Helly to Mark and Gemma to Mark. Also in their sadness, Hella and Gemma both sit on the floor and hold their knees. We get that same imagery for both of them. Anyway, so there's a lot of... I'm sure there's even more. If you're out there, know of some other parallels, feel free to put it in the comments.
There's an interesting repetition, I thought, and I think it was twice Gemma trying to get Mark's attention, where he wasn't listening to her, and so she had to, hey, Mark... once when I believe he was trying to do the treatment, and the other time, the last time he saw her, which was, hey, I'm sorry, I was just, I mean, you could just sort of chalk that up to him feeling regret in how he dealt with Gemma after he was gone, a bit of bargaining about how he would be better if she came back.
Yep.
And so recognizing that he was not as good as he could have been for her, but I just wonder if it means something else.
So we should mention that at that fertility clinic, they, she has a miscarriage. They go to the fertility clinic. We see Mauer at the clinic, which I believe then says, "Hey, this is a Lumen-related thing." She gets those cards that we saw from season 1.
Yes.
And she's taking the little personality test. He's like, "That's a waste of time," but she's like, "No, this is fun and I enjoy it." I'm like, "Oh, don't do it! It's Lumen."
Yeah.
So somehow Lumen used that information to target her, I would assume. Like, she meets our requirements for this project. So then the question is, that night, how does Lumen manufacture her accident? Does Lumen have an arrangement with her? How is it that she ended up at Lumen? And then seemingly is like, okay, fine, I'll do these tests, but once I'm done, right, I get to leave. So, she's not completely against her will. Lumen makes some kind of case to her that she's like, got it, let's do that. So what is it? I think there's still more to that night as it progresses. But anyway,
it's hard for me to believe, although it's possible, that she knew. Well, it's hard for me to believe it's possible that she knew when she said, saying.
Yeah, there was enough hints that she didn't. She wasn't saying goodbye. She was like, "Hey, what about that Denali thing?" Which I assume is rock climbing on Denali, which they'd already heard about Devin and Rickon doing. So she was probably like, "Hey, we're gonna do some hiking." So she was already she had plans for them for the future. So it wasn't like a goodbye forever. She even said, "I'll stay if you want," and he's like, "No, go ahead." So it doesn't feel like.
Here's another weird idea I had.
Okay.
If it's just making it possible for them to forget this experience, so if a severed Gemma and a severed Mark could just forget about that last couple of years of
Sure.
distress with that, and then here's your daughter. No. Ms. Wong. No.
Oh, God. Wow, okay. There's a theory for you right there.
I don't even believe it.
Okay, you don't believe that
It's
one
like,
either.
wow,
But-
you're pretty old. Well,
Yeah,
Mom.
wow. You know what? The years have just gone right by. You know that we say you go
it turns
fast.
out you met Mark much earlier.
Yeah, I've already got a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea of like maybe in a relationship, you're like, oh, it's not just this momentary, I don't want to go to the dentist, but like, hey, this whole block of time, could we just get rid of this
Right.
and then we just have a better relationship as a result of it? That's sure.
It's
Maybe like as I
very,
mentioned, the eternal
yes,
sunshine
of the Spotless
Mind.
Mind. Yeah. Which is obviously an inspiration for the show.
For sure.
I mean,
now I'm going to mention this.
Actually, yeah. Go ahead.
So this is completely personal to me, actually, as it turns out. But
Oh wow.
there's this moment.
There was a cat, or there was an orc. What's going on?
There should have been. That makes most sense. But no, this is way more just obscure.
Ooh.
So when Gemma in the past, she and Mark are hanging out, and she sees that he has purchased a baby crib in a box.
Yes.
And she says, "Что это?" That triggered the hell out of me. So, I mean, if I'd been an innie in that moment, the trauma that it would have made me remember would have brought the Audi. I remember. Anyway, so "Что это" is Russian. It means "what's this?"
Oh.
So obviously she's a Russian literature person. She can speak Russian.
Ah.
So I took Russian in college.
Okay.
And it was arguably the biggest academic mistake of my life.
Okay.
It was easily the hardest, most stressful class I ever took at any level, and I went to law school, so it was terrible. Oh my God, it was terrible. So one of the few phrases that I remember from that class, mainly because it sounded like I was saying the same thing twice, is "Что это? Это стол," which means, "What's this? That's a table." And so now you out there know as much as Russian as I do. It triggered the hell out of me. That's all I'm saying. "Что это, Paul? Что
All right.
это?"
Okay, sure.
There you go. So I was like, "Oh my God!"
It's a crib, whatever that is in Russian.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't know, Paul. I didn't learn that's a crib. Look at that. So anyway, it was just a weird little like flashback of mine. So I had a flashback to my traumatic past.
Sure.
Through this show. Anyway, so we'll be back talking about episode 8, which perhaps is going to be a Cobell episode. We'll also be talking about the first 2 episodes of Daredevil are dropping. So there's a lot going on here at the Dork Lords Central.
Yeah.
So come on back. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
No problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time.
Bye.
Bye.